Should be coming up right now. How's it going, everybody? It is the Osmo.com NHL DFS Strategy show. We've got a nice six-gamer. Hopefully you got your early slate lineups in. And it's the first night officially with no NBA. There's no Rising Stars. I don't think there's contests on the big sites. And that means spotlight on NHL. So I'm
And in
joined by
typical
my guy.
NHL fashion, they screw it up and have like a six gamer when they could have had a full slate.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have like an 8-10 gamer, but I guess we're gonna have to make do with six. So I've got the lineup builder open. This is a tool you guys can use for free. You can see this view if you want to use it as a lineups page. Bookmark it. I will send the link in chat right now. We've also got a premium version where you can see the rankings from Osmo's rankings, and I think we have the ownership projections with the platinum one. How did last night go, man?
Not so great. I think I entered a ton because I figured like why not take advantage of some of these larger contest sizes and just the fact that we got a few maybe some newbies from NBA, but didn't work out too well. Didn't have that nuts lineup. Didn't see a lot of our usuals at the top here. How about you?
Yeah, same here. It was one of those nights where I think you were probably okay if you didn't stack heavily for a four gamer, and that's kind of an in between slate for me. So, if you like, maybe if you had Pittsburgh one, the full stack, you were probably okay. But I saw a bunch of
Yeah.
one offs. Guys with 5, 6 different teams represented in their forwards, and usually in nights like that where there's not like one team or a couple teams that go off, I'm probably not going to do too well. So, hoping for
And
a.
that's like I
Go
was
ahead.
wondering about like whether or not the change you have to change your philosophy on these, like because we're used to going in maybe like 5, 6, 7,000 contests, and then that doubles. All of a sudden, you're doubling the odds that someone is going to come up with a nuts combo that isn't stacked, and on a shorter slate, all you have to do, well, not it sounds simple, but you pick those goal scorers, and you pick the right guys off top line combos and I don't know, there are just twice as many teams in there, so it feels like that's just a more likely outcome.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it doesn't change my strategy too much. I still am trying to, when I play chalk, trying to be somewhat contrarian with the rest of my lineup and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely going to be harder to win the tournaments. There's going to be, you're going to have a higher amount of entries, but I don't change too much. I do change my strategy a little bit on short slates, but like tonight, I'm going to be mostly focused on just full stacks, double stacks, stuff like that. And then you guys can decide what additional correlation you would like to add in, if any, including like correlating goalie, a defenseman. I think all that's viable on a six gamer here.
Yeah, that's fair.
We are presented by Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. If you guys want to make your way over to Yahoo, it looks like a bunch of their NHL contests are filling very early, which is good to see. Hopefully that means we see some bigger contests in the coming days when there's, again, no NBA DFS. And then they do have NBA contests. They're running a big no management fee contest on Thursday when NBA returns. That is 10K to first, $10 entry fee, 25 max.
Oof.
No reason, if that's within your bankroll, that you shouldn't be getting into that. They have CSV
Yeah,
edit. There's really no excuses. So
max it.
yeah, I think I'll probably play that. Just use the tools on the site and see what happens. We got ownership, obviously projections, all that good stuff.
This Yahoo contest is almost full today, by the way. So Yahoo, come on, get it together. Let's go.
Yeah,
Double
maybe
these up.
maybe tomorrow they will have some bigger ones. At least, hopefully, I hope that they have some larger contests. NHL ownership projections are going to be free for today. What's up, Petty in chat? One of the true sharks in the DFS industry, dabbling in some puck today. Hopefully, ownership projections are free. We've got DraftKings and FanDuel. Those are updated. Those will be updated. I think they actually are for the main slate. Yeah, so I just needed to refresh there. Those are updated for the main slate. We did have early ownership projections as well. We usually don't do those, but the contests were good. They're usually really small for NHL. They're usually like a 2-game slate, but we had 4 games on DraftKings and FanDuel. So fired up some early ones. Hopefully you took advantage of those. And then we've got the main ones, of course. So we'll be able to reference real numbers. Those are free for everyone today if you want to get a little bit of a peek behind the paywall. We've also got a new top stack tool, which is really cool. I'll just kind of show the top here. I think you guys, let me see if you can see this. So you can see the, it's not just, Toronto 1, Colorado 1. You can see their chances of being a top 2 stack, which is what Alex deems as being like a tournament winning stack compared to the average ownership of the stack, which is really cool. It looks like a couple of the top 2, a couple of our favorite stacks to play on the season are going to be a little bit under-owned relative to the chances of being a top 2 stack. So maybe it might be a spend down on defense night. I don't think there's a ton of stud defensemen anyways. Like we had Yossi, Clefbaum, Burns, and I think maybe Pietrangelo as well on the early slate. So not a lot of stud defensemen tonight. Maybe that means you should be punting one or both of your spots to jam in some Toronto 1, Colorado 1.
Vegas 2.
Yep. There's a bunch of that. So go check out the top stacks tool. That's right underneath the NHL tab on awesemo.com. I think that is good for promos and, pimping all of our new stuff. Lineup study. We didn't go over lineup study the other night. I guess we probably don't need to go over 2 nights ago. But we can go over what happened last night. Average Joe's took it down over on DraftKings. 1 lineup. That's all he needed. Average Joe's 09. Profited almost $20K. Just the $8 entry fee. And let's see what the winning lineup was. Wheeler, Connor, Pionk. So kind of a power play 1 stack for the Winnipeg Jets. Crosby 1-off. Svechnikov, Necas, and Jordan Staal. So looks like a stack when you just look at the colors here, but those 3 Carolina players were all from different lines, and there's no power play correlation between those 3, and it was able to take it down.
It's just terrible.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was like a cash lineup. I'm not exactly sure, but maybe he forgot to like designate line 1, line 2 in Fantasy Cruncher or something like that. But looks like a stack at first look, and there's very little correlation based on when these guys are actually playing. And so that's what happened last night in the $8 in what other tournaments did we have last night? The 222. This was $25K to first last night. This user has been going crazy, kind of under the radar. Wizzacor, I guess we'll call him for now. 15 entries, maxed it out. Took it down. Wheeler, Ehlers, so that's a 2-man stack. Crosby, Zucker, that's another 2-man stack. And then 1-off Palmieri, 1-off Timo Meier. So a 2-2-1-1 with his forwards. No correlation really on the defenseman. I mean, Green and Palmieri, although they don't play in the power play or anything together. And then Jeff Petrie, just 4.5 points, but did not matter because he did have Alexander Georgiev, 30.7 DraftKings points, and the Rangers were able to sneak out a win in Columbus. I think we mentioned on the show yesterday that while it looked like a bad spot for Georgiev, like he was basically locked in for a bunch of volume, just playing goalie for the Rangers. That's usually going to happen, and that's what happened to the tune of 30 DraftKings points. I think that might have led the slate. And that probably won our giveaway if anybody guessed that.
What was Jari finished 1 or Jari?
I can't remember what we decided. I've heard Doc Emmer call him Jari. I don't know. I call him Jari. I go back and forth.
Finished one shot shy of the bonus.
Oh, did he really? Oh, that's so people, newcomers probably saw that tilt. They probably saw the rules, chasing down the 35 save bonus. And was 1 shot away from actually getting that bonus. Makes a difference when you're up near the top of these top-heavy tournaments. So we've got some good contests tonight as well on both sites. I think another 10K to first on FanDuel, couple 20K to first on DraftKings, and then we'll see what happens tomorrow. First, there's going to be some XFL tomorrow, but there is the NBA All-Star Game. We'll see what the
Daytona 500 too.
Daytona 500, yeah. We'll see what the NHL contests look like. I think it's going to be a weird lock time. So that will depend on, like the contest sizes will probably depend on whether or not we have a show, right? But we can talk about that, me and you, once we get off of here. It looks like maybe a 6 Eastern lock, 5-game slate for tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do because the games are all staggered, but we've got hockey tonight, and we're going to go through game by game as we always do. If you guys could, I see a bunch of you already have hit the like button. That really does help us out, helps us continue to do this kind of content for free. Let's start with the Stars and the Montreal Canadiens. 2.8 implied total for the Stars, 2.6 for Montreal. Ben Bishop and maybe Carey Price. I think they're leaning towards Lindgren tonight. I'm not sure if Montreal plays tomorrow. In fact, they don't, but they did.
No, they played last night.
They played last night. That's right. Good catch there. Do we see anything new? Are we expecting anything new on the Montreal side?
Yeah, no, on the Montreal side, I just was it yesterday that Thomas Tatar injured his finger, or was it the game before that? I'm just
I thought it was the game
pulling that up
before.
right now. Yeah, so he was good to go. I think he was kind of a precautionary, but Montreal didn't skate this morning, obviously, so we probably won't know that if there's any changes to their lineup until pregame. And then on the Dallas side of things, it looks like Pavelski is good to go. You've probably got the lines pulled up there, but pretty similar to what we saw last time, except Pavelski would be down on the fourth line, but possibly still on the top power play unit. So he's a game time decision. Didn't skate this morning, but one of the beat writers is expecting him to go tonight.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, just keep an eye out for that. We don't normally play fourth lines. It is a smaller slate. Maybe you'll see some pros that are multi-entering play, some fourth lines here and there. I don't think Dallas would be the target for that anyways.
No, but maybe you could always toss him in on some power play one stacks,
yeah.
I guess, in larger tournaments.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what you'd be looking for, just to differentiate play. It's a game time decision. We've seen guys like Tom and Eddie take advantage of these last second guys, usually like second liners that are low owned. They get ruled in, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, they're just going to be low owned. You get them at under 1% and they end up scoring a couple goals. And that's, obviously a massive thing when that kind of event takes place. So it's a low probability play playing Pavelski, but if you wanted to include him on a power play stack or something, not the worst idea. As far as this game goes, we're going to see Danault, Tatar, and Gallagher go up against Seguin, Hintz, and Perry. I would have to think that's going to be the case. Who knows what the Stars do if they get down early in this game. They are known to change up their lines a lot. I don't like stacking up their lines a ton anyways. My favorite one, just looking at projections and stuff, it looks like Seguin line looks okay. I don't really love the matchup against Danault, Tatar, and Gallagher, so I'm probably going to end up limiting them. They haven't been that impressive anyways for me to think they're going to overcome this matchup. It is a pretty difficult one against Montreal one. Maybe some potential one-offs here. You could one-off Seguin. You could one-off Gurianov. He's a guy that showed some upside this season. B. Kreider has played him a bunch of times and binked. And then
who was that?
B. Kreider.
No, who is he playing?
Gurianov. He's played him. I feel like I've seen him in a bunch of his winning lineups this season, one-off Gurianov, and stuff like that. But that's who I associate with Gurianov for whatever reason. On the
does have a 17 goals, 6 assists, so it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, wow, that's kind of crazy. I know Achari had something like that too. He had 1 assist and 12 goals or something when he was on that ridiculous
Florida
stretch.
Panthers, I tell you.
Do you like anything in this game? It seems like Montreal 1 looks okay to me. I would consider their power play 2 that's shown on our screen. That's really their top power play if Gallagher and Tatar are gonna be on that unit.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably worth looking up after the show to see if those guys actually did play that way last night, or if they mixed up the units, or if they were on Petrie's unit. I like to know Tatar and Gallagher. They're just an elite line. Playing at home,
Yeah.
It is a low total, but Dallas does take a lot of penalties, so maybe you get some extra opportunities on at 5-on-4.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And they're number 1 in expected goals for among lines with more than 200 minutes this season. So as we've talked about many times, this is probably the most underrated line in hockey in terms of chance generation. So certainly with you there. I'm not super into that line. I'm not super into much from this game though, to be honest with you, just because I like so many other lines more. And this game total looks like the Habs are at 2.7 and the Stars are 2.9. It's just it's not great. I'm sure I'll have a few shares, but I'm not excited about playing it.
Yeah, exactly. If I wasn't multi-entering, I don't think I'd play a ton of Montreal 1. But it does look like they're just a good price, and I think the ownership is going to be okay on them, especially if people will leave off Danault or they'll go one off Gallagher. I don't know that this stack is going to be that heavily owned, which is nice because we've got some some pretty big names here. Matthews, McKinnon. You got Monahan, Gaudreau, who's been super disappointing. We'll talk about them later.
Also, the power play is just like totally mixed up. I don't know if you commented on that, but
Yeah.
Gallagher and Tatar on the second power play, so don't probably correlate as well with Jeff Petrie. It's Victor Mete on that power play, and then of course no full power play correlation because Dano isn't on either one. So just another reason to kind of downgrade them that line there, I think.
Is did did that hold true last night when they went on the power play?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Well, there you go. Maybe some lack of correlation on the Montreal side. Petrie is probably your one-off 5,400, regardless of which unit he's on. He's the peripherals guy. Or maybe Ben Sherratt you could get away with at 4,300, just playing a bunch of minutes. On the Dallas side, you got Klingberg and Heiskanen. I probably prefer Klingberg. I prefer Heiskanen as the one-off guy if you're going to one of these. And then Klingberg would be the guy I think you stack with the Dallas top line because you've got two links to the top power play with Sagan and Hintz if these power plays are correct. Anything left in this game?
No.
All right, let's go to Chalk City here. Toronto and Ottawa, 3.7 implied total for the Leafs, 2.9 for the Senators. Jack Campbell, maybe Marcus Hogberg. I've seen Craig Anderson likely elsewhere. We will know at 6:30 Eastern time, and we will alert you in Slack if we see anything weird. Could see some line changes on the Leafs side. I don't know if you caught that, Nolan, but I don't want to steal your thunder.
I did.
Go ahead.
I think that's going to be the advantage of attacking this game here. Is just that like one of the Leafs beats. I can't remember. Hendrick tweeted out this morning that Nylander was up on that top line with Marner and Matthews, but then deleted the tweet. So I don't really know. They didn't skate this morning, I don't think, or it was an optional skate. So we probably won't know until pregame rushes. But it's if Nylander's up there, I think that's probably a pretty big advantage to get access to the chalkiest line on the slate with full power play one correlation, and then you're going to get Nylander probably half or 30 to 40% of the ownership of Matthews. So
Yeah.
sign me up for that if that happens.
Yeah, I can't remind me last night. Did they start the game as Matthews, Marner, and Hyman? Is that correct?
I think so.
And then they
last
went,
night,
yes,
I
last
mean,
or
2 nights ago.
yeah. What am I thinking of? 2 nights ago, maybe. I can't
Yeah,
remember what it was.
they started with Matthews, Hyman, Marner.
Matthews, Hyman, Marner,
think.
and then yeah. So they actually ended up going to Matthews, Marner, and Nylander. So they're willing to go back to that line. I
Yeah.
think you're okay playing Nylander with them anyways. It's a pretty good power play spot for a team with the stacked top unit.
Yeah, and Barry, one of our best valued defensemen today.
Yeah, so Tyson Barrie up there as well, 6K, doing some of the peripheral work. I kind of like Justin Holl again. I know I've been saying his name a bunch, and then Muzzin is just a better version of Holl for DFS. A guy who, like, if he can get the points, like, he's going to have a pretty big performance because he's probably going to get some blocks. He's probably going to get a couple shots on goal. And then
It's like a young Alex Biega.
yeah, exactly. Alex Biega. Boy, that is a deep DFS, NHL DFS reference right there. Like 6 people are going to understand that. On the Leaf side, like I said, I think you're okay playing Matthews, Marner, and Nylander together if you want to just do that and power play stack it and not worry about the news, the potential news for this game, and you don't want to like recrunch or change up your lineup. That'd be a way to do it. The question is, which line are you going to play Zach Hyman? Because if Hyman and Nylander are switched, then you could full stack Tavares, Hyman, and Kerfoot. I think they're going to have the better matchup against Ottawa 2 and Ottawa 3. We're going to see Pajot, Kachuk, and Brown hard match Matthews, Marner, and whether it's Hyman or Nylander. That's going to be the clear matchup here. And then that's going to free up Tavares and whoever he's with. So I kind of like whoever Tavares is with as a full stack. I think it's going to be lower owned. I think people will just see the 3.7 total and go right to the big names, Matthews, Marner, and maybe Tavares and his line mates go a little bit under owned here. Like, we can't underestimate how bad this Ottawa, like outside of this top line, how bad their forwards are defensively.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing. I went back and looked at a couple games, and like it looks like Ottawa does try to hard match at least that top line against the opposition's top line. So that's the only reason to downgrade this top matchup, because obviously that Ottawa 1 line has been one of the better lines. Game stacks, I think, are in play here as well. The Leafs, aren't that great defensively. So if you're looking for a reason to fade Toronto 1, that's probably it. And then, yeah, as you said, the depth on this Ottawa team isn't nearly as good. So, taking some shares of that Tavares line or Tavares, Hyman, Kerfoot, I think is just going to go totally underowned. So why not sprinkle a couple in there? You probably don't need much to get overweight.
Yeah, and I think if you are looking to play Ottawa here, I don't think you need to ignore them. This is a good total for a team that can generate, or it's an okay total for a team that can generate some offense. Leafs have games where they play at an extremely high pace. And then, you've got some questionable goaltending. Campbell in net. This is not Freddie Anderson, although Freddie Anderson has had his issues as well. But Peugeot, Kachuk, and Brown are going to play a ton. People will leave off Connor Brown. He's actually been better. Like, he was terrible when he played for the Leafs. Like, he was a guy you just couldn't play for DFS. He's been better playing like 20 minutes some games, and he's 4,300 and is contributing on the score sheet a little bit. So I like Ottawa 1 here as sort of a contrarian play. They're just in for a massive workload, and especially if it's Nylander up there and not Zach Hyman, that's probably going to make him a worse defensive line. So potentially a pretty good matchup for them as well. Defenseman here, kind of mentioned a few guys I like for the Leafs. Anything else you want to add, or any like?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Tyson Barrie is probably my favorite play on the night in terms of defense. 6K, the price is up, but he's getting tons of minutes recently. He's shooting, he's blocking shots. Great, pretty good power play spot. 27 minutes last game, correlates well with the top line. And then Tom Chabot, I think, is one of our pretty well graded mid-tier defensemen. Price is down on him, still getting decent minutes, and the Leafs have been known to give up a few points. I think they're 4th or 5th worst in points allowed to opposing defensemen, so don't think it's a bad spot for him either.
Alex Stalock leading the Wild onto warmups. So I'm going to while I set up this game, you switch your lineups, and then while you talk about changes, then I'll set up my lineups. I'll finish talking about this game. Yeah, I like Chabot for 4,900. People like playing defensemen against the Leafs, and I think Chabot would be more of your one-off guy. So I would be careful with the power play units on this game as well. Kachuk being listed on the second unit, that's not really their second unit if he's on it. So at worst, you're going to get a split, and I think more likely that's going to be the line. That's going to be the unit that goes out first. Peugeot, Kachuk, and the Mike Riley unit. So hopefully people downgrade Riley a little bit. That's probably the guy I would rather stack with Peugeot and Kachuk. And then let's set up this next game. Kings and the Colorado Avalanche, 2.3 implied total for the Kings, 3.7 for the Avs. Jonathan Quick and Philip Grubauer are expected, quote unquote. Who knows if they're actually going to play. This might be a game where you give the backup some run. It seems like it should be a pretty easy win for Colorado, but this is hockey, so who knows? Do we see any changes in this game? Were you able to get Dubnyk out of your lineups?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I don't think I see anything major here. Kings switched things up recently with Carter, Kempe, and Ferk. Toffoli on that top line with Kopitar and Follow. Dustin Brown down to the third line with Lizotte and Trevor Moore. And then on the Colorado side, looks like pretty much the same. You got Comfort, Donskoy, and Landeskog, and then full power play correlation since Donskoy was moved off there and Burakovsky moved on. So hard not to like that combo. And then Ryan Graves is probably the most expensive defenseman on the slate. I haven't checked, but I'm assuming he is. And
he is 5,800. He's 5,800.
I'll have zero Ryan Graves.
It's absolutely unbelievable.
Zero.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to be closer to zero than like 10%. I honestly, I don't want to say I'm ever going to get zero of someone, but yeah, it's just like what's the appeal there, I guess, would be my question. But I know
he barely gets 20 minutes a game.
Yeah.
What's he done to deserve this price? It doesn't make any sense.
Just frustrate us and, get 2 assists in a game and get 15 points and be worth it.
I guess so.
All right, let me get Dubnyk out of my FD lineups too. And then, oh man, he's $700 cheaper than Stalock. That's going to be a bit of an issue. Let's see if I can.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think like with this Colorado top line, it's going to be one of the top two. And like looking at ownership really quickly here, I'll just pull it up while you're setting your lineups, but McKinnon 17%, and then we have the rest of that line at way less right now. It's looking like Rantanen about 7, but probably that gets up to like 10 to 12. Usually there's about a 10, I would say like 7 to 10% difference between some of these guys. Burakovsky, a little bit cheaper, but going a little bit less owned. That might be a little bit of an error in ownership projections, but it's probably not a bad way to get off Toronto 1 if you need to differentiate there. That's I'd say, like in terms of those two really high price lines on the slate, you might be better off going to Colorado just at lower ownership in a pretty solid matchup. And then the other thing to note here is just I think Philip Grubauer probably projects really well. The Kings generate a lot of chances, but those chances aren't exactly the high danger quality. So or generate a lot of shots, I should say. So that makes as a big favorite who's probably going to see a lot of shots this game. The Kings rank third in the NHL, 34 shots per game. So he's probably a good bet to see a lot of rubber and get a win. Going to be my most owned goalie tonight.
Grubauer is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the call. So Colorado side, yeah, you mentioned they're a pretty good pivot, or if you want to choose them over Colorado or Toronto 1, I don't think that's a bad idea. Full power play correlation. Looks like the sites have reacted to that. One thing that I'm worried about, and I wouldn't say worried ever with McKinnon because it's a good power play spot too. So it's not like if they have a tough 5-on-5 matchup that they can't overcome it. He's done that many a times this season. But yeah, good price. The only issue is just that maybe they see some extended time against the Kopitar IFL Toffoli line. Maybe they stick Landeskog and Comfer against them. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do or if they're just going to roll lines. But that line is a little bit worrisome. They've been really, really good. And I actually do have quite a bit of interest in LA1 on the other side. I know it's a minuscule total, but I think if they're going to score 3-4 goals here, that you're going to get some really good production out of that top line. They are fully correlated. So kind of if you can stomach the implied total you're seeing on the screen, that's really low.
Yeah.
I think that line can score some goals here. They've been so good at 5-on-5.
Also, Kopitar Toffoli IFL has not been great defensively this year.
They haven't?
No, 3.1 expected goals against, which is minimum 100 minutes. So that's like bottom 15 in the NHL.
Oh, I'm seeing Kopitar Toffoli IFL. I'm seeing they're at 2.2.
You're right. I was looking at the wrong stat.
You're looking at 4, right? Yeah, so they've been really good for. Okay, yeah, you worried me there.
So your point stands. Play LA1 tonight.
Yeah, they're above average defensively, but
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think LA1 is the play if you're going to the LA side. Colorado 2 was pretty disappointing in their last game,
and really bad defensively as well. Second worst in the entire, or no, pretty close, I guess. Previously, they don't have great defensive minutes historically, so
right.
So it's obviously a new line combo.
So it's McKinnon, Colorado power play. I think all great plays. You're just gonna have to deal with some pretty hefty ownership for a 6-game slate. It's not out of hand, but McKinnon might get to 30-35% in some tournaments. You can sub in Landeskog for one of Rantanen or Burakovsky as a way to get a little bit different while also playing correlated plays. Cale Makar, 6,200. Probably not going to one-off him too much. I think if, he's talented, he can score goals, but I think more than likely if he ends up smashing at that price tag, 6,200, I think you're probably seeing a big performance from McKinnon, Burakovsky, Landeskog. One of those guys or a couple of them are going to have huge games. So I like him more in the context of a stack than I do just playing Cale Makar at 6,200. And then, you guys can play your Ryan Graves for 5,800. I don't know. I suppose you could get a little bit lower and go to Gerard or Eric Johnson, but neither of those two are fantastic options. And then the Kings don't have many great options either on their blue line. Drew Doughty, a lot of empty minutes to see there. Sean Walker would be the punt, getting the power play 2 time at 3,100 for me.
I like it.
Anything else here? We digging down to Colorado 3?
I think that's not a bad cheap punt play. Yeah,
they've had a couple decent games. I mean, Nishushkin has been pretty good. The only problem is
one stacks.
Yeah, the only problem is that they messed up this LA 3 line, I guess. So maybe they're not going to be They had really good numbers before, but with Moore and Brown instead of Wagner and Kempe, it might be a little bit different. So, yeah, I think Colorado 3, if you're going for a super, super deep flyer or you're trying to Josh stack for whatever reason, that might be a line you could take a couple guys off of. Let's go to the Blackhawks and the Flames. We've got 3 late games to talk about tonight, 3 games that start at 10 Eastern or later. It's going to be Robin Lehner and David Riddick for the Flames, 3 implied total for the Hawks, 3.4 for the Flames. Do we see anything new here?
I don't think either team. Chicago didn't skate or had an optional, and we do have Calgary a new bottom 6, so it's Bennett, Dubé, and Lucic, Jankowski between Reeder and Ronaldo. I think everything's the same on the Chicago side, though they did switch their lines right before during the pregame skate last game. So keep an eye on that one. All about Calgary 2 tonight. How about you?
Yeah, actually, let's see where we have them on the
6% for Backlund.
I think he's gonna be higher than that. Cause
me too.
He's up to 4,800, I guess. Number. Maybe not.
What's that?
He's up to 4,800. Like he was at 3,700 2 games ago, and like at that price, if you use any sort of historical data, like he was just gonna pop in everyone's optimizers. That line has been pretty good. That's the line I prefer. So I'm with you on Calgary too. I'm just hoping that on our last update they don't have some crazy. I hope they don't get above like 10%, because as a filler stack, I'm usually out on that. They fit pretty well with some of the top lines. And so that's the part I'm worried about. Calgary 1, I mean, this line has been just thoroughly disappointing most of the season. It seems like a good spot. They probably won't have to go up against what they view as top competition. There's not a bad matchup against the Blackhawks anyways. So I don't think it really matters. If you want to play Calgary 1, that's perfectly fine. I think they are good for tonight. I don't think they're good in general. And so it's just going to depend on where we have them on our ownership projections. Looks like they're right near the top. So what I might do is just add some more Colorado 1, add some more Toronto 1 into my portfolio and kind of limit the amount that I get of Calgary 1 to like maybe half of where they're at. I just hate playing what I think are not great lines when they're going to be chalky. So that's my rationale for probably being below the field on Calgary 1. Calgary 2 is more where I'm going to be making my living. And then a 3 total for the Hawks. Do you see anything you like here?
I don't know. I guess like for me, it's just gonna sprinkle some Hawks in there and see what happens. I think they had a closed door meeting or something last game, so like I don't really like have a great read on the Blackhawks or what the hell's going on with their lines. I think like Chicago 3 seems like not a bad option at fairly decent price point, though. I don't know. I don't have a good feel for them, so I'll sprinkle some in with like some Vegas 2 and Toronto 1 stacks, but I'm not going like crazy or anything.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm rarely on Chicago when they're going to be popular. In fact, I think Kane will be popular, so I'm always fine playing Kane, but I just don't play a lot of one-offs when the slates are of this size. If he's going to be at 10%, that's probably fine. And maybe you could make a case to stack Saad, Kane, and Carpenter. Pretty cheap line mates. It looks like Saad's going to take that top power play spot. I actually saw Beat confirm that earlier today. He's going to take Zach Smith's spot on the power play. For what it's worth, Chicago 1, I guess they've been pretty good offensively, but are you really going to play Drake Caggiula? So maybe it's just true. Chicago.
Also, Calgary 1 stats over the past month. Starting to see some positive regression here. 3.82 expected goals for, 12.3 high danger chances for, 34.67 scoring chances for at 5-on-5. So
how many minutes
is more of more like the numbers we were used to seeing. That's in 53 minutes over the past month. So I'm kind of like still in on them. I think if you look at the larger sample, they were pretty good line last year. So.
Yeah, I mean, they've never had like the eye-popping numbers, so maybe I'm overreacting a little bit here. It is a good spot. I don't know. You're probably, that stat will probably save me some from myself, but I still don't think I'm going to be over on them compared to some of these other top lines.
No.
Like I think at best I get to where the field's at on Calgary.
Yeah, and they're like 20% owned, so there's certainly a reason to fade them. That's for sure.
Yeah. Defenseman in this game, no Mark
Yeah,
Giordano.
I
So we've
think
got
I think it's
Hannafin.
pretty obvious. Yeah, it's three Flames defensemen that stand out. Stone and Brody rank as our top value plays on the slate, just at their current price point. What you're seeing, I think, what we're seeing with Giordano is actually Stone's getting the biggest minutes bump.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone from about 50 minutes a game to about 20 minutes a game, and that means, like, with the amount of shots that he blocks, it's usually a good bet to get into that. Get into the block shot bonus or close to it. Brody hasn't really seen a huge minutes increase, but still added responsibilities. I think he has gone from he's just getting like to 22, 24 minutes. Rasmus Anderson on the second power play unit as well, but is more higher priced than a lot of these guys. Still seen a huge minutes uptick as well. And then Hannafin's probably the best bet to pair with your Calgary one stacks for power play one.
I like it. Yeah, I think you hit on everything. I like the Stone call, so I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, I saw you. We were close there the other night, and it was you and Homer Cleese. I think we were like 1, 2, 3 or something at some point. I was kicking myself because you had Yossi and Stone,
Yeah.
which was smart, and I went with like two mid-tier scrubs, which is almost never seems like a good idea.
Yeah.
Just get the star and
I think
value.
I think I got like 6 shots on goal from Stone, so I wasn't expecting that. But a guy that can hit the block shot bonus in a bigger role, and I think that's also something that I've tried to react to quicker. Like when these top guys go out, these minutes eaters, these guys that play 25 minutes. So when Carlson might be one that we need to talk about in the future. Erik Karlsson is out for the season with the thumb injury. Giordano, you've seen it. Like you need to start upping your exposure to some of these guys that might see 14, 15 minutes a night on the third pairing that are all of a sudden going to play 20 minutes. That just increases their chances so much that they can hit the block shot bonus and contribute elsewhere, and their prices don't usually come up right away. You're still seeing Stone, Brody. While they're not great, they're not gonna like score 2 goals. If they can get you an assist, if they can get you a bonus, that's really valuable when you're trying to fill out the rest of your lineup.
Agreed.
I don't have much on the Chicago side. Keith, Gustafson. I actually like Connor Murphy the best at 4,800, but he's not on the power play, so I don't want to make it seem like he's a phenomenal play at that price. Just another guy that does some of the peripheral stuff that you are looking for that might differentiate you from the field. Let's go to the Caps and the Coyotes. 3.2 implied total for the Caps, 2.8 for Arizona. Braden Holtby and Antti Ranta are your goalies. Vots is in chat saying he can't wait to play my boy. He is referring to Taylor Hall. They look cheap, but are the lines going to be intact is the question.
Yeah, good question, and we probably will never know. We'll find out tomorrow when we look at them. No, it's so they did shuffle last game. Kuznetsov was up there with Hall and Dvorak, and then Garland was down with Stepan and Krause. Good luck. Well, of course, everyone in DFS, if you're new, knows the Arizona Coyotes just don't have like a beat writer or anyone that tweets about the lines. Usually, the best case scenario is the team tweets them out in pregame rushes. So just be aware if you are stacking them up that they might not end up the way you expect them to be. They don't usually in-game shuffle, so that's like that happened last game, but that's not usually a thing that they do. So I wouldn't be too concerned if you do have the right lines. Washington all looks the same because Kuznetsov is out for another one. So I think the beat Tom Giuliotti was expecting everything the same.
Yeah, and what I took that as is that just the same 18 skaters are going to be in the lineup.
Yeah,
I have no idea what Arizona is going to do because they had run Hall, Dvorak, Garland, and then Schmaltz with Kessel and Keller. They've actually run the Schmaltz line a couple games in a row, so that's been normal. But they did last game. They ran Dvorak, Hall, and Vinny Hinostroza, who's $2,900. He's $2K less than Garland. He's probably not going to play on the power play, but he does have games where he can contribute offensively. He's not a complete plug for DFS, and that would allow you to fit in a lot more, saving that extra 2K. And I don't think it would make them that much worse of a line. I mean, Garland's not a fantastic 5-on-5 player. He does play on that top power play, but I might end up just running my lineups with Hinostroza up there and just eating it if I guess the line's wrong, because they did go to him like pretty soon after the game started to that top line, and that could be potentially a huge edge if you guess right there. I like Arizona 1 a ton in this spot, going up against probably the Backstrom OV Wilson line, not a strong defensive line, obviously very strong offensively, and maybe even seeing some time against the second line. I don't know. Did you mention Kuznetsov?
Yeah.
He's going to be out, right?
Yep.
Okay. I hadn't checked since this morning. I saw he was at skate, but he didn't. They thought he wasn't going to play for whatever reason. So looks like
I thought he was officially ruled out, but I'm just looking at something now that says he's probably out. So
okay. Yeah, I'm treating it like he's out. I think the Eller, Vrana, Oshie line, you were right on that one. They looked way stronger in the last game without Kuznetsov up there. They didn't just get ran over like they have so many times. So I'm kind of on Arizona 1. The second line is okay as more of a filler stack. They're just really cheap. So they might get popular with the Colorado 1 and Toronto 1. So I might steer clear from playing them unless you're getting really weird with the defensemen in the rest of your lineup. But I think the second line is in play for the Caps, and I'm not looking too heavily at Washington 1 here. What about you?
I think I am looking at Washington 1. I know it's not a great spot because they're on the road against a pretty stout defensive team, but the ownership, we have them in their stack tool as about a 7% share as a combo and as a line combo, and about an 18% chance of being one of the top 2 stacks on the slate. So I think if you're looking at it that way, it's not a bad spot to get in, and you can pair them with some chalkier budget lines, and I don't know, just create some leverage on the field that way. So I think for that reason, I'm going to have probably going to go overweight on the field.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think if they're going to be that low owned, like if we project them that way, then maybe not a bad spot to go overweight on them. I'm just a little worried about the 5-on-5 spot and just their price, but that's probably what's making them low owned. So if you like the spot, by all means. Ekman Larson, 3,900. Chikrin, 4,500. And then you've got Carlson for 7,700 on the other side in a matchup I'm not in love with. The John Carlson.
The Carlson
lover.
truther, the man who's on before anyone else.
I don't know about that. I mean, I felt like I was on pretty early, but there were other people that were slamming him.
I've been calling for his I've been calling for his regression for months now and looked like an idiot. So
7,700 for him. Tough for me to play a ton of him here. Chikrin at 4,500 looks pretty interesting to me as a one-off guy. And then
Oosterley still projecting well for us.
Yeah, he was off that top power play last game, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna double check right now, but I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah,
2,700. I mean,
so I don't know why he predicts well, but he's getting more minutes recently.
Yeah, and then Ekman Larson at 3,900 probably won't be a one-off situation for me. It'll be more with top power, like top line stacks, and that's really about it. So keep an eye on this game. If you do have Garland in and you need to swap down to Hinostroza, there's 3 games at this time or later, so you might have some options. Maybe you do leave Garland in and then swap down if necessary, but I might just risk it and go with Hinostroza up there. Let's go to the last game of the night, the Islanders and the Vegas Golden Knights. Real quick, if you guys could hit the like button. I see a bunch of you in here right now already have. That would be very beneficial to us. Helps us continue to do this kind of content for free. All right, Islanders, Golden Knights, Varlamov, Marc-Andre Fleury is confirmed. Varlamov not confirmed yet. Do we know anything on the Islanders goalie?
No, I don't think we do. We probably won't know for a while unless they do like the coach Trotz does like a pre-afternoon interview. Sometimes they do that, but no skate this morning. I think the lines are expected they'll be the same. And then on the Vegas side of things, it looks like Marcia So is a game time decision. So that's kind of an interesting at the very last in the very last game of the night. And then they had Matt Roy up there. No, not Matt Roy. I don't know. Roy.
Nick Roy.
Nick Roy. Up there as a placeholder, and then Eakin between Glass and Stevenson. Alex took his out for a couple weeks, so a lot of moving parts here. But let's be real, it's all about Vegas 2 tonight, right?
Yeah, it's another Vegas 2 night. I don't think the matchups matter to me that much. They can go up against whoever. It
Well,
really
also
doesn't matter.
like Cizikas is out for the Islanders, and like
Yeah.
that line, that fourth line with him at center, has been far and away their best defensive unit, and that's generally how they like. They're on the road, and they won't get last match, obviously, but that's generally who they would deploy against other top lines, at least from what I've looked at. So, and that's why they tend to get a lot of ice time as a fourth line. But now that's weakened, and you have last change, so. These top two Islanders lines are pretty mediocre, and then on the whole, the Islanders just at all strengths are bottom five in chances allowed and expected goals against. So this is a smash spot as well. I don't know if you saw my article today, but the Vegas two, the newly formed Vegas two is averaging 6 in 25 minutes, is averaging 6 expected goals for per 60.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously too short of a sample. Like they're not going to average 6, but they might average 4. Like legitimately might
Yeah,
over it, which is outrageous. The average is about 2.2, 2.3, somewhere in there, and so that's just absurdly high. Like you put Chandler Stevenson in there with Pacioretty and Stone, and they're pushing 4 expected goals per 60. He's a borderline third liner. Like he's not a great center. Now you put Carlson, who was a 40 goal scorer in there a couple seasons ago with just like elite line mates, and Vegas looks healthy. Maybe Marchessault misses. I do like Vegas 1 though as well. So while we're gonna fawn over Vegas 2, the Carlson, Pacioretty, Stone line, like that's probably gonna be my highest owned line. I think Vegas 1 won't be too far behind. I'll probably have them in double digits with Marchessault in there, assuming he goes. I'll swap if I need to, but it sounds like he's more than likely going to play. It's not really a matchup thing. It's just I really believe in this team. I think they're about as stacked as anyone and relatively healthy. You can add in Theodore with either of the top 2 lines. I think, although he does go better with 1 if these power plays we're showing are correct. Nate Schmidt would be more of your second guy. Or I'm sorry, Pacioretty and Stone are on power play 1 with Theodore, so he does go better with the top power play. Schmidt goes better with the top line here, Stastny, Smith, and Marchessault. Vegas probably my highest exposed team, so I'm hoping the late night hammer can come through again here. Islanders, a team that overachieve. It seems like they've had good goaltending, but when they don't have good goaltending, it can fall apart incredibly fast. They're frustrating when they can get a lead, but I think Vegas more than likely rolls them, especially at 5-on-5 here.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. My gonna be my top owned line tonight. Gonna try and get as much exposure as I can, and pair him up with whoever. I think if Marchessault doesn't go, then they're gonna eat. I think you even upgrade them even more. They're almost like a de facto. There's no 1-2 combo. It's like they're gonna be getting a huge amount of ice time. And then I do like the call on the Vegas 1 there as well, because you're gonna get low ownership, and it's at a decent price point. So you could Josh stack this, or you could just kind of put Marchessault in and then kind of work your way around with some new combos if you need to, because you can't, if you want to put in maybe one option would be like to put in some Vegas 1 and then and put Shea Theodore in and then go like down to like a Bearman defenseman. I don't know if that works, and then you can probably get up to that to the top line. So I don't know, trying to think creatively about, you might not even be able to do that actually now that I look at the pricing. So if Marchessault's out, I don't really know what you do in that instance, but it's not the options aren't great, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Last game of the night, there's no other swap options. Like you might just have to go Marchessault and swap him out for Carlson or something,
or like Pulock and Marchessault.
Yeah.
Pulock and
right. So you could make a rule where you have to play like a decently expensive defenseman in all your Marchessault lineups. So like you have to play let's say like Theodore or Pulock, like you said. So you leave yourself some swap options. It's not optimal, but that might be a way to do it if you're running a bunch of lineups and you're worried about it.
Then you got Nick Leddy, so it's fine.
There you go. You got Nick Leddy, your block, your assist. Maybe an assist. I don't know. That might be pretty good. I like. I shouldn't say I like. If I had to go to an Islanders line, it would be Islanders 1. I believe in this line a lot. I think they're more likely to hold their own at 5-on-5 against any of these Vegas lines. They just have really good numbers. They're fully correlated. We've seen Vegas not play like shutdown defense at home this entire season. And if they avoid significant time against the Pacioretty Stone line, they might be in a pretty decent spot. So you might get them at low ownership because of the total. I'm seeing Barzell at around 5%. That works for me. So
Not bad.
yeah, maybe a little game stack action. Although I wouldn't force that in, but if I end up on that organically, I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right. I think that's probably going to do it. Shout out to Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports for sponsoring us. Go use promo code AWESEMO on your first sign up to get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. Check out our top stacks tool. This is not free today, but you kind of get a little preview right on the screen right now. NHL top stacks. We do have an MLB tool like this that everybody loves. All of our subscribers. NFL, we had one for stacking quarterbacks with receivers. We do have a boom bust probability tool for NBA. So we've got something kind of for all the main sports ownership projections that we've been referencing all day. These are incredibly important, especially on a slate with concentrated ownership. You're going to want to check these out. They are free, open to the public today. Those will be locked for tomorrow and probably the rest of the week. Get in Slack if you want to be alerted when there's any late news. And what else do we got going on, Nolan? Anything I'm missing? All-Star Break access, promo code
big
break.
All-Star Game show tomorrow with Emac, Eddie Fear, and Ranpak, and so they got that covered. We got Daytona 500 coverage on the site right now. Our lead NASCAR writer Phil Benson does 2 articles per week. That's always a little bit of fun. Of course, we've got XFL previews. Emac has an article for the NBA All-Star Game tomorrow out, looking at some of the historical trends and options for you in these All-Star games. I didn't do well in the Rising Stars last night, but that's all right. We'll get it all back tomorrow. So
2% goal. Let's do 5% goal. It's a 6-game slate.
All right.
Our goal call. So we do this usually at the end of the slate. Or like once we go through everything, a guy that we think is going to be pretty low owned that is going to get a hat trick for tonight. Anyone that pops for you?
It's pretty gross. Under 5%.
Let's do like under 7%.
7%. Okay, I like it.
Got a few more options.
Oh my God, it's still so ugly. I'll go off the board here. Oh no, I got one.
Let's hear it.
Andrei Kopitar.
Oh, that's what I was going to take. So I will take, let's see, we talked about
Burakovsky.
I'll take Anders Lee. He's pretty low
owned. Oh, bold. I like that.
I'm talking myself into some Islanders one. That's a little bit too low owned for me. So thank you guys for joining. As always, we'll have word about whether or not there's going to be a show tomorrow. We'll see what the contests are. We'll see what time the slate starts and all that. And we've got NASCAR going on, PGA, EPL, MMA, obviously NHL. You can use promo code BREAK to get all access for those sports for $15 until February 20th when NBA returns. So take advantage of that today. And thanks once again for joining us. Hit that like button on the way out.
Well, bam. You muted me? Can you hear me? Oh.